Oh, thank you. It's all better. Yes, thank you,
In
Sophia.
the meantime, we're enjoying the dulcet tones of Metallica over the Roots Hall PA.
Yeah, we apologise for a kind of slight lack of sound effects tonight. We are inside a press box, and it's often the same, to be fair, when we're here at Roots Hall. It's difficult to be able to, for you to hear your normal. I mean, think back less than 5 years really to the COVID season.
That's how it was.
When we commentated from inside a box, didn't we, Steve? And there was I'm sure you'll hear the 4, 5, 6,000 Southend fans tonight despite that, but now where are the Shots fans? Over to the right, I think. Pretty healthy attendance.
Yeah, I think in the behind the goal to the near side as we look at it.
Yeah. Let me see a good 150, 200 at the moment. Of course, we're still some 9 minutes away from kick-off, so maybe a few still getting refreshments and things. But otherwise, a pretty healthy attendance in Roots Hall for a midweek game, as you'd expect. And Southend, Steve, just sort of setting the scene here. It's rather bizarre from the outside looking in because, I do my research and it tells me that Southend are the third best team currently on form in the National League. But also within the last 2 weeks, I've been reading about Southend fans wanting Kev Mayer out. Not happy with the style of football, and
I think that results and style of football can be two entirely different, contrasting things, and it depends what you want from your team, from your club. They're not great at home overall. They are in a rich vein of form. I think they're averaging 2 points a game over their last 8 games. This is their third home game in a row, I think. They luckily, maybe you might say, got a draw against Rochdale on Saturday through an own goal, a very clumsy own goal. But yeah, I think that's the expectation. You don't have to be anywhere near as old as me to remember this club being in the Championship.
Absolutely.
That fall from grace will have been difficult to take, and there will be expectation, as there are amongst so many teams that have come down to the National League, expectation that, well, we're too big for this level, we should bounce straight back. And then when you don't, maybe a little bit of malaise sets in, a bit of frustration, a little bit of discontent, maybe not, or maybe of the level that we're currently experiencing at Aldershot Town, where things off the pitch become far more emotive than they otherwise would be if the team was doing the business on the pitch. And Southend have had it far worse on the pitch in recent years than even Aldershot Town. So I think, it depends what you want from your team, but certainly a club with the resources and the support of Southend should be challenging, if not for automatic promotion, then certainly for the playoffs.
They certainly should. Sammy the Shrimp is down there, hyping up the crowd as best he can, and there's some Southend youngsters stood either side of the tunnel and the halfway line where the ball is on, what would you call it? A plinth. A plinth. The ball is on the plinth, being guarded by a security. Oh no, it's not. It's Sam Carter, the Aldershot Town.
That's no security guard. That's Aldershot Town's head of media.
And we await the teams. And if you're just joining us and wondering why Steve and I are just chit-chatting, it's because the kick-off has been delayed until 8 o'clock, and that's because the Aldershot Town team coach hit some traffic problems on the way, as you probably would if you went north around the M25 at that time of day. I had rather too good a view of the Dartford crossing, and I came round the other way, so it literally is swings and roundabouts, the M25, on a weekday evening. It's not an easy place to get to, unless, like Tommy Widrington, you live literally round the corner. If you're picking up some background noise, it's because there's about 8, 9, 10 of us here in this media box, and obviously the game hasn't started, so 1 or 2 people are just chatting to friends and things, but I'm sure it'll all settle down. You will probably hear another commentary in the background. That's an inevitability here at Roots Hall. We've sat as far down as we reasonably can be from the BBC Essex commentary team, but I'm sure if there's a Southend goal, you'll probably hear their voices raised, and they may get slightly annoyed if my voice raises
when
the other
not
way.
If, Rob, when?
Absolutely. So the scene is set. Shrimpers, I think, starting the night in 11th place, if I remember rightly. I don't think that will have changed yet, because there's no goals in any of the other first 15 minutes of any of the other games. Southend start the evening in, well, they're in 10th place at the moment at 4 minutes to 8 o'clock, and they come out now, the teams. Southend are in I'm going to say virtually a black home shirt with yellow pinstripes and black shorts, white socks, and Aldershot Town are in their all yellow kit, which, I don't know, looking out there, Steve, looking on, and I know you don't get to many away games these days, but not one that they've worn too often, I don't think, on the road this season. Aaron Jones leads the side through the handshakes and now into their final warm-ups. Just the one change for the shots this evening, and they line up as follows. Marcus Dewhurst in goal, Ollie Scott, Luca Woodhouse and Will Armitage the back three. Across the midfield from left to right, Tyler Frost, Cameron Hargreaves, Theo Whittington and Aaron Jones, which is the same as Saturday as well. And the one change comes in the front three, where Kai Corbett replaces James Henry. We hope that James is okay and recovering and it's not too serious. And a very good evening to you, James, if you're listening. Kai Corbett gets a start. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Jack Barham and Josh Barrett, the two JBs, potentially the most two furthest forward players this evening, Steve. Corbett, when he came on Saturday, played more in the 10, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it'll be a fluid front three. Jack Barham will run the channels. He will use the full width of the pitch. Josh Barrett will do what Josh Barrett does so brilliantly. The work rate, which Tommy Widgington has been at pains to point out, complementing his mercurial, skillful brilliance. And then Kai Corbett can play any of the positions in that attacking front four. Wing, number 10, striker. You hope that fluidity will give Southend's back three a few things to think about. Because certainly in the Southend team, there is plenty to think about. A lot of their goals come from balls into the box, and when you've got wing backs like Gus Scott Morris and Jack Bridge, there's plenty of attacking intent in those two.
Excellent stuff. We're about to get underway here then at Roots Hall. The shots are kicking away from the end where their fans are housed behind the goal, away to our right. We're virtually on the halfway line. Shots kicking right to left in the first half. Southend have the kickoff. And they take it through Leon Chambers Perillion, who was playing at Slough just a couple of weeks ago. But Southend have plucked him, and he's straight in the team starting lineup tonight. Change of all three front positions for Southend. They get a cross in through Scott Morris. And do you know what? That same player, Leon Chambers Perillion, I think, was the one competing for it at the near post, but it's come off an Aldershot Town player, and it's going to be a corner in the opening minute to Southend. And
they're very dangerous from set pieces. That ball's into the box, whether it be a cross or a set piece corner, they're very, very dangerous. A lot of their goals come from balls out wide.
In it comes, and punched away comfortably by Marcus Dewhurst, and Cameron Hargreaves does really well. The two number 7s battling away out there, Hargreaves and Bridge. Hargreaves goes to volley it forward, and it immediately cannons back off of Bridge and flies away to the right behind the goal. Goal kick to the shots just over a minute in here at Roots Hall. You're listening to BBC Surrey with Steve Gibbs and myself, Rob Worrell. 0-0. Ball out to the right from shots. It's pretty aimless. It bounces once and finds touch over on the far side. Always get a kind of slightly muffled and muted impression of what the atmosphere is like at this ground by being inside this box. I will say on a relatively cold February evening, it's a lot more comfortable than it might be.
Yeah, it's not altogether unwelcome.
Exactly. Theo Widrington stoops to head back to Marcus Dewhurst. He has the ball in his hands, and he's at the edge of his area now. We're almost 2 minutes in, 0-0. Kicks this one through, flicked on by Jack Barham, and Barrett was trying to get there, but it's hooked forward by Southend and being held up by Bridge on the left side now, and he goes back to Nathan Ralph. Of course, a former shot. Aldershot have won it in the air, and Kai Corbett has played it. Aaron Jones has played it neatly back to Theo Widrington, and Corbett plays a ball through. He might have been just caught there as he. Oh, that's a short back pass, and Barham was nearly onto it. And Southend clear their lines, pump it into the Aldershot half, and it drifts away into touch. And we're well positioned tonight, Steve, to see the gestures and the antics and everything and all the nerves that Tommy Widrington and Kev Mayer are going through. Both of whom, in different ways, there's quite a lot of pressure and expectation, isn't there? Mainly because both of them are a little bit below par of perhaps where they should be in the league
absolutely.
table.
Yeah, I think both of them will be acutely aware of the expectation on them and on their teams to pick up results. And certainly Aldershot Town did not expect to be looking very nervously over a chasing relegation pack, and Southend absolutely would have been wanting to be higher up than the kind of relative mid-table position in which they are now. But it was good play a couple of minutes ago as Marcus Dewhurst kicks forward down this left-hand side. I'll let Rob take over.
Yeah, Hargreaves picks the ball up in the centre circle, spreads it out to the right-hand side. Aaron Jones into the feet of Josh Barrett, comes off of him and goes straight to Bridge, who just wandered inside. Southend have won it back. It's been a couple of early goals, not that early actually, because most of the games kicked off nearly 20 minutes ago in the National League. One affects things at the top end of the table and one at the bottom. Come to those when we get an opportunity shortly. Aldershot building on the right, into touch again, so I'll tell you about them. I believe the first goal of the evening was scored by Boston up at Fylde. And how do you look at that one, Shots fans? Probably, if that game's not going to be a draw tonight, you probably would want Boston to get the 3 points, because they're going to need an awful lot more of those if they're going to get safe, Steve.
Yeah, it's not quite win every game stage yet, but yeah, certainly Boston need to put together one heck of a winning run to give themselves a chance of survival.
Yeah, Gateshead have just gone 1-0 up against Sutton as well, but the other goal right at the top end in that game of the night, first against second, Barnet 1, York City 0, the opening goal coming for the Bees on 16 minutes. The ball's in touch again. This time it's an Aldershot Town throw, halfway inside their own half. Aaron Jones taking, flicked on by Barham, and then Southend hook it forward, and Barham just catches Nathan Ralph, and I think the referee's blown for a free kick. And I can confirm that that early Barnet goal was scored by Aluwu, centre back. Here's Southend in possession. James Golding, another one back in the side tonight. So at least 4 changes for the Shrimpers. They're giving it away. Shots play it down the line. Southend have got it back. Theo Widrington plays a little bit of an up and under. One for perhaps Kai Corbett to chase. He couldn't quite see where it was initially. Tackles his man quite firmly. Southend are giving it away. Barrett's got it inside the penalty area. Plays it off of Golding and behind, and Aldershot win their first corner of the match. We are 5 minutes and 45 seconds in. 0-0, Steve Gibbs.
Yeah, I think Shots have made a really positive start, and it's good to see those two Southend wing-backs, Scott Morris and Bridge. They're going to be looking to get forward. What they won't want is to be pinned into their own penalty areas, asked to do some defensive duty, and Frost and Jones have already shown their own attacking intent to try and nullify it.
And it comes from Barrett, headed away by Southend, only as far as Ollie Scott, who hooks it back in on the right side. It's headed on, headed out by Ralph, headed back in by Luca Woodhouse. Ball drops around Woodhouse and Armitage. Woodhouse is quickly onto it and sends it out to the left-hand side to Kai Corbett. He's looking to shift it across the edge of the penalty area. He does so. He finds Hargreaves. Hargreaves trades passes with Aaron Jones, and in the end Aldershot are pushed all the way back. Good work out of possession there from Southend. That's a heavy touch from Marcus Dewhurst, but he recovers well, and Jack Barham's making a hell of a run here to try and get in just in front of Golding, but he can't. Golding holds his position. Southend send it forward. Ollie Scott hooks it on. Frost gets something on it, hooks it on again to Barham. Barham turns it inside, looking for Barrett, and it's been snaffled by that man James Golding. Here's Macaulay Bond holding the ball up on halfway line, spreading it through the middle, through James Morton. And now Wayne Bridge, Jack Bridge even. I've never done that before, but for some reason I was thinking don't do it, and then I did it. Jack Bridge, good 1-2, and they're coming down the left-hand side now. I think it's Ralph in possession. He's up against Woodhouse, back onto his right foot, shot comes in. And it's somehow just been deflected wide, and we've got two big pillars here, only one of which is really in play as far as the commentary is concerned, so I can't actually tell you who put it behind, but it is a second corner of the evening for Southend. 0-0, 7 3/4 minutes gone.
Yeah, it was Josh Walker who cut in from the left-hand side. Didn't look to be a particularly well-hit shot, but it still required a little save from Marcus Dewhurst. Southend corner.
Going to be taken right-footed. Sure if it's Morton out there taking that. Was from the other side, and it comes to the near post. Missed by the first Aldershot Town player, headed away by the second. Back out as far as Bridge, who sends it into the far post. Header comes in, little ricochet, it's hooked back inside again, and then volleyed over the bar from 4 yards by Josh Walker. It was athletic the way he swung and connected, but to be perfectly honest, it was a little bit over the top. All he needed to do was just poke it across the line, and it's a let off for the shots. 8.5 minutes in, best chance of the game by far. 0-0, Steve Gibbs.
Absolutely should be 1-0. I'm not quite sure how Walker has missed that. He could have met that ball with his head, his foot, almost his chest. It's an open goal in the middle of the goal mouth, and somehow he leans back rather than, he could have just scuffed it into the net. Instead he connects with it far too cleanly, slices it over the crossbar. Massive let off.
Good hold up play on halfway from Hargreaves. Finds Will Armitage, goes to Aaron Jones. Theo Widrington sends it really into a space on the right hand side where Ralph can, in fact in the end he did have to deal with it, and he goes back to his keeper Nick Hayes. Nick Hayes, of course, who was playing in the... Aldershot could get in here. Barham onto a loose ball inside the penalty area. Carries on his run. Almost went down, but he was very honest. He stayed on his feet. He's now forced out to the right-hand side. And Kai Corbett gets that control wrong, but so badly wrong that it drops at his own feet. He's still got it under control. And then he believes he's fouled. Nothing's given by our referee, Charles Breakspear. And Southend hook the ball down the left-hand side. It's flicked on by Bond, looking for Walker, who positions himself well, but so too do the Aldershot players around him, and they come back and defend well. First time kick from Dewhurst. Can't quite be controlled by Nathan Ralph, who's off balance and comes off him into touch. Throw into the shots. We're 10 minutes in now here at Roots Hall. Here's Kai Corbett turning into trouble and losing the ball. Then he wins it back, but unfairly, according to referee Charles Breakspear. We did our homework on him earlier, Steve, didn't we? And I couldn't find a National League record for him for this season, and that's because he's been refereeing in League 1 and League 2, where he's had 9 games and shown 48 yellows and 2 reds. But more on him as and when. Here's Theo Widrington dropping a ball over the top, competed for by Barrett, falls at the feet of Corbett, who pokes it further wide to Tyler Frost. Going up against Gus Scott Morris now, tries to get his cross in, he does, and it's well headed away by Ralph. But Aaron Jones is onto the loose ball. He needs a bit of support. Can he find it? Plays a ball inside, but that's too heavy. And, it's picked up initially by the number 19, Leon Chambers-Perillion, working back. And then as soon as he gets it, Theo Widrington goes to ground, catches the man, not the ball. Free kick to Southend. And thankfully, Steve, just a word in the ear of Theo Widrington from the referee, Charles Breakspear there, when an overzealous referee might have been tempted to get the yellow card out for that.
It was an unnecessary challenge from Theo in that position. He did not have to go to ground, did not even have to engage the player. All he had to do was just keep him with it facing his own goal and ask, can you make a pass out of danger from that position, and the chances are he wouldn't. Theo gave him an easy way out.
Here's Luca Woodhouse going back to Dewhurst, who's kicking instantly a lot tonight and kicking long when he's under any pressure. Here's Hargreaves hooking the ball over his head. Barrett tries to bring it down, but he's in an offside position. Boston have doubled their lead, outfiled. Probably what looked like a bit of a home banker tonight, that one. Just shows you cannot predict National League football, Steve.
You can't. No, and huge credit to Boston. That really is a 6-pointer for them.
Yeah, they have a wretched record against Fylde as well. Fylde have won 11 of the 14 games they've played. Here's Bridge coming down the left-hand side, squares it back, half cleared, now should be fully cleared. Woodhouse is fouled from... for a minute I couldn't hear the referee's whistle. I thought he'd wave play on. He was completely taken out from behind, Luca Woodhouse. And Aldershot have a free kick just outside their own penalty area, and they've negotiated 1, 2, 3, 4 as I call it, 12 minutes and 34 seconds without too much duress. They probably should be a goal down. One of the worst misses of the season that I've seen from Josh Walker, 4 yards out and just blazing it well over the bar, not even just scraping it but well over it, wasn't it?
Yeah, he leant back, he was almost pirouetting and somehow managed to slice it over the bar. It was a horrible miss from a Southend point of view, but so far the shots have done well in defending. Plenty of width from Southend, but the shots are winning their individual battles, cutting out the crosses at source and doing really well to marshal those flying fullbacks as they make their way forward.
Southend in possession, just inside the Aldershot town half. James Morton's on the ball. Hussein now plays the ball into Bon, who holds it up, gives it back. Now a nice smart turn from Hussein. He's under a bit of pressure, finds Bon again. Shot comes in, and it's saved away to his right by Dewhurst. And he just parried it, and Armitage was there just to shepherd it until he could come out and pick it up. But we have to say we can't quite see from the angle, but it looks as if that might well have been a shot on target.
I think it was, yeah. It was, in the end, it was a really good save. It was a snapshot on the turn. Dewhurst would not have had long to set himself and make the save, but he did really well. And then, fortunately, there was no Southend player coming in on it. Yeah, it was a really good shot on the turn. So little backlift. The defender didn't have time to set himself to block the shot either. So, yeah, credit to Marcus Dewhurst for a really strong save. And then being able to keep it within his clutching distance so that no on-rushing attacker could get to it.
Free kick given away now by Ollie Scott, 10 yards inside the Southend half. The shots starting tonight on 30 points. Part-time Tamworth sat on 39 points staggeringly already this stage of the season. They've gone 1-0 up at Yeovil as well. Here's Kai Corbett running onto a ball through the middle. He's got a forward run from Aaron Jones. Jones gets it in. Barrett completely miskicks it. He had a swing and a miss, just 2 yards inside the Southend penalty area. Aldershot have done well to win the ball back. Widrington has got it, tries the ball into the feet of Barham, controls it well. He's just badgered from behind, but not too physically, and the referee says that's fine. Southend win the ball, and Gus Scott Morris made a run forward there on the right hand side. They didn't see him and he had to turn back in the end, but double figures goals for the Southend right wing back this season, and staggering really. The last player, I think there's a couple of players that spring to mind who've done it over the years. Jeff King did it for a while, didn't he? And the left back who went to Notts County, who's now at Woking, whose name escapes me at this moment.
Adam Chickson.
Throw into shots, taken quickly. Hargreaves on the ball, plays it inside, poor pass. Looking for Corbett, giving it away. He's working hard to try and win it back. Ollie Scott gets a foot on it. Hargreaves wins something, and then Widrington loses it. Oh, lovely sharp turn from Josh Walker, but Hargreaves comes again from nowhere. He literally is the human footballing edition of the Duracell bunny. That's exactly what he is, isn't he?
Yes. Mr. Perpetual Motion.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. And I think we may be starting to see, it was questioned at the time, wasn't it? We might be starting to see a little bit the benefit of his little mid-season rest. Here's a flick on by Frost into the path of Barham. Barham goes down. He's just pressed a little bit too heavily by Harry Taylor. And it's down by the touchline, almost halfway inside the Southend half. Referee Breakspear gives Shots the free kick. So we are 16 and a half minutes in. It's Southend United 0, Aldershot Town 0. Shots yet to have an effort on goal, unless you count Barrett's swing. And I think he probably kicked the ball against his own foot, something like that.
Yeah, I think it hit his standing leg.
Yeah.
If it comes off, it's spectacular and brilliant, and you're going, well, of course Josh Barrett does that. But yeah, this one is not one for the highlights reel.
Okay. Barrett's going to take this free kick. Sends it in now towards the far stick, and referee's already spotted some pushing. Not quite sure who it was, but Steve, I've got to say it's just such a waste of a free kick, isn't it, of a set piece?
It is, yeah, and that's no disrespect to Josh Barrett. I think it's the unnecessary foul that was committed at the other end. If you can't win the ball, don't commit a foul trying to, particularly as it's drifting to... The defender has got to make a decision there, whereas Aldershot Town allowed the defender to not make a decision by committing the foul. And again, same as Theo Widrington's foul a couple of minutes ago, it's a complete get out of jail free card.
Here's a good turn from Parallon, and he exchanges passes with Noor Hussein. There's a bit of a stray one, but Scott Morris reads it well. And Southend just building on this right flank. In comes the ball now from Hussein. Bond jumps, can't win it. Theo Widrington's there, plays it up to Josh Barrett. If he turns sharply here, he might be able to get Aldershot in, but he can't. It's good defence work behind him from Golding, and Barrett's just been jarred from that one, and he's just reaching back and feeling the back of his thigh at the moment, and that's a little bit of a worry, Steve.
Yeah, he's manfully trying to close Golding down, but he's running on one leg pretty much at the moment.
If that's a hamstring, then it'll be the end of his evening. He's carrying on at the minute, but
he has had that sort of situation before, where it seemed like his afternoon was done very early on, and then he recovered, he ran it off. We hope that will be the same this evening, and he does seem to be moving a bit more freely now.
Yeah, just occasionally you can get a little snap, a little twang, can't you, that isn't necessarily a hamstring going, but here's Ralph winning it. Oh, Barrett is now onto a ball played through by Corbett. He holds it up on the edge of the area, back to goal. Oh, he's swifted onto his left foot and then his right, and then the ball, and he looks, holds his arm out wide, he blazes it over the bar, and I'm going to come to his rescue here. The ball bobbled up just as he went to hit it, and he ended up lifting it way high. Yeah, good. The best thing about that, Steve, is that Barrett looks to be okay the way he ran after the ball.
Yeah, he's not the sort of player that's going to put the afterburners on and leave the defenders trailing in his wake, but he did as best he could, held it up on the edge of the area, neat turn, and then he blazes it onto the roof of that two-tier stand at that end of Roots Hall. Yeah, whether he was trying to drive it or chip it, in the end he did neither.
Okay, Southend have a throw here, just on this right side, just inside their own half. Gus Scott Morris takes it, it's flicked on, played into the central area, and Aaron Jones will hook it forward. Jack Barham heads the ball into a good area where Kai Corbett chases, and he's just beaten to it by Ralph. Ralph has put it into touch. It'll be a throw into the shots, and we are 20 and a half minutes in here, and we still await the first goal of the evening. Elsewhere in the National League, Boston are 2-0 up at Fylde, Barnet 1-0 up at home to York, with that Aluwu goal on 16 minutes. Gateshead 1-0 up at home to Sutton, and Tamworth 1-0 up at Yeovil. And Tamworth going to go beyond the 40-point marker tonight. Quite staggering in the middle of February for a part-time side. Ball forward, taken down nicely by Barrett, but he can only help it into the path of James Morton. Morton out to the left to Bridge, who holds it up, goes back to Morton. Morton plays it forward, and Will Armitage is quickly onto it and goes back to his keeper. Looked very, very good in his first couple of games for the Shots, Will Armitage, and then suffered a bit of a drop in confidence, I think, at Eastleigh on Saturday. Here's Barham twisting and getting onto a ball, goes back to Theo Widrington, into Barrett now. He's wriggling and turning and working the ball out to the right hand side for Aaron Jones, who shapes to cross but then gives it back to Barrett. Barrett's inside to Theo Widrington, who lifts it forward, and it just bounces once and is harmlessly into the path of Nick Hayes, the Southend goalkeeper. He's wearing the number 1 jersey. They've had a few issues in the goalkeeping department this year. Colin Ndeng is out long term. He's a highly regarded goalkeeper. And Nick Hayes, of course, who played in the National League playoff final for Solihull Moors, didn't he, last year? Here's Corbett onto a ball, but quickly taken off his toes by James Morton. Southend have the ball halfway inside their own half, and Golding lifts it forward. That'll be an easy headed winner for Luca Woodhouse. Frost battles for it on the touchline but can't get there. Southend take the throw down the line, and Walker does really well to nip in front of Luca Woodhouse, who thought he was in control of the ball, but Josh Walker had other ideas. And Gus Scott Morris making his way into the penalty area. Really good tackle from Tyler Frost, came out of nowhere. Here's good hold up play from Jack Barham, sends it out to the right hand side to Barrett. Aldershot on the attack now with Widrington. He shapes to go one way, but he sends it out to the right hand side. Barham's in the middle, and then, well, Barrett, I'm not sure, if I'm honest, whether that was a cross or that was an outrageous attempt to lob Nick Hayes, but either way he overhit it, Steve, and it didn't end up being a cross or a shot. No,
I think from Josh's reaction, thumping the turf, I think it was meant to be a cross, but yeah, even by Josh Barrett's standards, if he was trying to chip the goalkeeper from there, that was very, very ambitious. I'm pretty certain that it was a cross, and a very, very overhit one at that.
23.5 minutes gone here at Roots Hall. 0-0. Just a minute or so past the halfway stage of the first half. Ollie Scott is going to take
more than a few yards.
Going to take a throw in, and in front of this many Southend fans, he's not going to get away with that. Big leap from Barham, can't win it. Frost hooks it back over his head. Harry Taylor sends it inside. It's played forward by Southend, and Ollie Scott heads it into touch. Tommy Widrington tries to get on it, but it bounces over his head, and he gets a few ironic jeers. Scott Morris takes the throw, gets it back, rides the challenge from Hargreaves, goes back to Noor Hussein again. There's a ball up to Macaulay Bonn, who's just buffeted a little bit by Ollie Scott, but manages to find his pass back. Now they come forward again, and now Harry Taylor's going to send in a cross from the left side. Aaron Jones battling away with Jack Bridge. Paralon's picking the ball up now, and he's just been dispossessed. In fact, he's deemed to have caused a foul, and Marcus Dewhurst will restart play for us. Nearly 25 minutes gone, listeners, here at Roots Hall on a Tuesday evening in the National League with Steve Gibbs and myself, Rob Worrell. Southend United 0, Aldershot Town 0.
Shots defence looking really strong at the moment. Southend having to try a few things to try and open them up, and whichever alley they run down, they're finding it's a blind alley at the moment. They're not really in getting much joy in open play, certainly, and it is only Josh Walker's glaring open goal miss, and the shot that Marcus Dewhurst did well to save, that really they're the only fruits for Southend's labour so far.
Yeah, I think it was Macaulay Bonn who had that second effort. He was exchanging passes with Hussein, and then he just turned and thumped an effort towards goal. Slightly frustrated home crowd at the moment, because the referee Breakspear has given Aldershot a pretty cheap foul just outside their own area. There's been a few games we talked about in recent years here. The Shots had a happy hunting ground for a couple of years, 3-2 win, 2-1 win, and then last year I think the game was a little like this. There wasn't a lot in it for quite a while, but then it all turned on the sending off of Roland Menayace, and literally within 5 minutes of that, Southend were 2-0 up and went on to score 4. So the Shot's well beaten here. There's a good nick from Hargreaves, but then Southend get the chance to go back to their keeper. Good flick on there from Josh Walker, somehow beating Ollie Scott. And I know they're both relatively diminutive, but Scott, as we know, has got a tremendous leap. Ball's eventually into touch in front of Steve and I, a few yards into the right-hand half of the pitch, the one that Southend are attacking. Gus Scott Morris plays the ball into Bond. Luca Woodhouse comes right around him and takes the ball off him. Really good work there from the youngster against a very experienced striker. What was your stat you said about him before we kicked off? That less than 5 years ago?
Yeah, 4.5 years ago, Queen's Park Rangers signed Macaulay Bond for £2.2 million. And now he's playing in the National League.
Yeah, he got his first goal a few weeks back, didn't he? In something like the 19th or 20th game for Southend. And it's not turned into a prolific run since then. But here's Corbett dropping quite deep onto the ball, goes back to Ollie Scott. Ball bobbles again just in front of him, manages to guide it forward though. James Morton at the centre of everything really for Southend. Plays the ball over the top, that'll bounce once and go through to Marcus Dewhurst. And quickly he'll bowl the ball out to Will Armitage, who's making his way forward now. He's coming up to halfway now, sends it inside to Theo Widrington, who sends it across to Hargreaves. It runs across him, but he scurries across and gets onto it. Now Frost goes back to Hargreaves. And Luca Woodhouse is going to play it in the left channel. He's looking for where he hopes Ollie Scott's going to be. But Scott had just turned on his heels to come back. Fylde have pulled a goal back against Boston. So 3 goals in that game tonight. And it could be argued that maybe a point apiece would be the best result from that. But Aldershot, as we keep saying, Steve, need to do their own job. Here's a clearance from Woodhouse, spinning viciously, but Armitage should just keep it in and save the corner. Now he plays it down the right-hand side, and he's fouled as he does so. So Aldershot get themselves another cheap free kick. One of the issues for Armitage on Saturday at Eastleigh was just the weight of his passing, and I mean relatively the simple passes. I think he got one wrong and then got a bit nervy, and it sort of unravelled from there. But he did survive all the substitutions late on when Mullins and 1 or 2 others were brought on. I think they kept him on for his height in the hope of getting him on at the end of a set piece, and he starts tonight. So. And
it can be with a young defender like that. One little moment can throw your confidence off, but I think he's done well this evening, and that was a vital interjection. Marcus Dewhurst wasn't quite going to meet that ball as he rushed out from the penalty area, and yes, it was a sliced clearance across his own goal, but I think it was necessary because otherwise the Southend striker was going to nip in.
Yeah, and just to say, while Steve was talking, Marcus Dewhurst took a goal kick, and if you could hear some cheers, I know the sound effects microphone's not great tonight, that was because he sliced it straight into touch. Southend have taken the throw, they've come forward, and the ball is being held up now by Parillon. Quite a step up, I'm sure. He was doing well at Slough, and Kev Mayer and his scouts, John Still, I'm sure, involved somewhere along the line, had an eye on him for a while, but as many teams have found that have stepped up from the National League South to this league, it is a big step up. And now Southend get the cheap foul, and I think that's been coming, Steve, hasn't it? Because Aldershot have been a little bit hands-on at times, and this referee isn't one of those that's just going to ignore all the soft challenges. If he's there and he's close enough and he thinks that a player was being impeded, he'll give it, and he's given it here. Free kick on the corner almost of the penalty area, level with the edge of the box, the left-hand side.
Yeah, it was another little cheap foul. A foul definitely, but just hands in the back of the Southend attacker from Theo Widrington, and Southend's brains trust Gus Scott Morris was threatening to be on it, but now he's walking away. But yeah, they got a really good opportunity to get a dangerous ball into the box at Southend.
Yeah, I think James Morton's going to take it. Everybody else has gone away now. Defensive lines 5 or 6 yards inside the penalty area. It's going to be tight. In it comes from Morton. It's headed up and away. Theo Widrington with another header, but that goes straight to Morton. And now Parillon drives forward, but he's been dispossessed by a combination of Jones and Widrington. Aldershot play it forward, and Corbett does well, helps it on, but Harry Taylor's back there, and he manages to divert it back to his goalkeeper Hayes, and he's got the ball back at his feet now. Very good evening to Colin Hayden, who's listening from Tenerife this evening. He won't be listening on Saturday because he'll be at the EBB along with many other stray shots, those that support Aldershot but don't live in the vicinity anymore. There are people travelling over from Saudi Arabia, David Miles and a couple, Mike Hudson and Colin McDonald from the USA, and many others coming from around the country. Something's been heavily featured in the non-league paper as Woodhouse is fouled in his own, on the edge of his own final third. Featured in the non-league paper on Sunday, probably will again this Sunday. If you're listening in the BBC Surrey area, have a listen to the breakfast show on Friday morning, where Gina Bulston, who's here tonight, so she won't hear her mention. Even Ellie's here, her daughter, because they're on half term, and she's helped to organise all that. Terrific moment of pride and togetherness for the Shots fans on Saturday. So Gina and myself will be on the breakfast show on BBC Surrey on Friday morning, 8:40. Steve Gibbs.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic initiative, and it just shows the global power of this little football club in one corner of North East Hampshire.
Here's the ball on halfway. Theo Widdrington heads it on, and he just couldn't quite get purchase on it, and at the last moment Parillon just surged a little bit past him and he just impeded him, and it's been a free kick, and I think the yellow card's out as well.
Yeah.
And he may have got the benefit of the doubt the first time, Steve, but he can't, and Aldershot can't really afford Theo Widdrington, the way he plays, on a yellow card relatively early in the match. Still nearly an hour to go. There is,
including stoppage time, there is over an hour to go. A deserved yellow card. He hesitated, he tried to head it back to his teammate, but Parillon had the legs, he had the dynamism to get ahead of him.
While he was heading it, he was just nudging him. Is the ball forward, knocked down, shot comes in, and it's wide from Macaulay Bonne. To be fair, he was wide. There was two yellow-shirted Shots defenders and Marcus Dewhurst in front of him. It would have been one heck of a finish if he'd been able to. Meanwhile, the referee's coming over to have a word with Tommy Widdrington, and I'm not sure whether... And he's shown him another yellow card. So that's, I think, 3 yellows in the 5-6 games that Tommy's been back. I think
normal service has resumed.
Yeah, I think Tommy said something to the fourth official, who's then through his microphone called the referee over, and then the referee has had a quick word with Tommy Widdrington and shown yellow. So there we go, 34 minutes gone, and both Widdringtons, Tommy and Theo, in the referee's notebook.
Yeah, I hope that Tommy's yellow card wasn't because he was complaining about his son's yellow, because that was entirely deserved.
I think he was probably querying what it was for. It wasn't too easy to see. There's a cheap foul on Will Armitage. As you say, the ball came down and he looked to stoop to head it back, and I think as he was heading it, he realised he might not have got enough purchase on it, and he could feel Parillon coming by the side of him, and he just impeded him.
He did.
It was a momentary reaction, but the referee, who as the ball bobbles again in front of Luca Woodhouse, and he tries to play a ball down the left side, all he could do is lift it straight up. The pitch isn't great here at Roots Hall. Yes, it's probably slightly better than the one at the EBB at the moment.
It is.
But it's definitely bobbling here and there. That's not helping players of either side. Here's Scott Morris getting the ball back from his own throw. Sends in a lovely teasing cross through the corridor of uncertainty. And thankfully for Aldershot Town, nobody was in the corridor of uncertainty on this occasion, but what a lovely drifted ball. He could do no more, really.
No, absolutely it was. Maybe it wasn't quite the corridor of uncertainty, but anyone coming in from at the far post or beyond, it was on a plate. And it was, absolutely delicious, measured delivery that was begging for a striker, someone like Macaulay Bonne, who's on that side as they line up for the goal kick, for him to ghost in at beyond the far post and just tap it in.
If anybody was watching the Leeds against Sunderland game last night, the goal that got Leeds level, the ball came in beautifully like that. Only needed the slightest of touches. Here comes Southend down the left. They've squared it across the byline. But Ollie Scott's back there, well positioned, puts it behind. It'll be another corner to Southend, and the shot's coming under a little bit of pressure now. 36 minutes gone, 0-0. So it'll be a right-footed in swinging corner In it comes, and it's missed. Oh, I think Walker might have hit Walker and then just dropped in front of Dewhurst, and he snaffled it quickly. But either way, in front of goal, another potential chance for Walker. Now Barham's chasing the goal kick, and he's managed to get a touch on, which means Southend will have to hook it forward. They do. Bridge heads it round the corner, but Aaron Jones is well placed. Turns it inside to Theo Widrington. Widrington into the feet of Barrett. Barrett just touches it into the path of Ollie Scott. He's working his way down the left side now. Finds Tyler Frost. Chips back, comes back on his right foot to Hargreaves. Hargreaves to Theo Widrington. Offers the ball out to the left-hand side to Frost. He breaks inside, sends the ball over the top. And Ralph has to deal with it. Can only get it out as far as right. Josh Barrett. Oh, what an incredible save from Nick Hayes. Barrett caught that one, an absolute treat. And a very good save from Nick Hayes on the left side of the goal. Somehow, with it swerving, managed to parry it, and it's gone behind for a shots corner. But I think great credit to Josh Barrett and to Nick Hayes.
Yeah, Barrett had to turn swiftly, off balance in the D of the penalty area, managed to catch it really sweetly. Hayes would have been tracking across to his left-hand side and then get a really strong foot to go back the other way and make a really strong save. Shots corner.
In comes the corner to the far post. It's headed away by Macaulay Bonn. It'll be chased out to the right hand side by Cameron Hargreaves. He plays it to Frost. Frost tries the first time ball. That's cut out, and it'll be a third corner of the evening to Shot. So 3 corners each. 38 minutes gone, 0-0, and the Shots just evening things up a little bit. Easily their best chance of the night.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they need this little bit of pressure. They need to get a bit of a foothold in the game in the Southend penalty area, because it had been not quite one-way traffic, but Southend had been exerting a little bit of pressure in the last few minutes. The Shots defence needed that bit of respite. In
comes the corner from Barrett. Heads up, Armitage hits the back of another Aldershot Town player inside the area. Taylor's holding it up under pressure from Armitage. Goes back, and then it's hooked forward. Chested down by Ollie Scott. Can he keep it in play? Yes, he can. He's making his way down the left side. That's a heavy touch. And then it's booted into him and flies directly forward behind the goal away to our left. It will be a goal kick to Southend. 39 minutes very nearly gone, and it remains 0-0. But the game's intriguingly poised, Steve, and all 3 results eminently possible from here.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it was. The man who's just in front of us now, Gus Scott Morris. The ball dropped to him in the penalty area inadvertently. He wasn't able to react quick enough to direct the ball into the goal, but the ball dropped to the feet of Gus Scott Morris, and in the end Dewhurst was fortunate to be able to pounce on it. But yeah, since then Shots have responded really well, and as you say, enjoying their best period of the game.
Barham on the right hand side running forward into Corbett. Corbett goes back to Hargreaves. Hargreaves out to Aaron Jones. Back inside to Hargreaves. Hargreaves now comes back halfway line to Luca Woodhouse. All the outfield players in the left half now. Is Ollie Scott in a little bit of space? He's going to send in a cross. Now he pulls it back to Frost. In fact, Frost leaves it for Widrington. Scott tries a through ball to Frost but can't pull that off. And then a poor ball forward from Scott Morris looking for Parallon, and it's a throw into the Shots. Ollie Scott to take. We'll keep you abreast of those other games in the National League. Vitally important, of course, that the Shots get themselves as they lose out from their own throw, and Gus Scott Morris involved. Theo Widrington lunges in. They've given it away again. Barrett nicks it back. Now Widrington with the ball down the left side looking for Tyler Frost. Takes it nicely under control. He's got 2 Southend defenders with him, so he goes back to Theo Widrington. Widrington now into the feet of Barrett. Turns sharply inside the penalty area. He's still got the ball there. He's got 4 Southend players around. He's wriggled away. He's got to the byline. Comes back to Frost. Frost onto his right foot. Got to send it in now, surely. No, he goes back across again to Theo Widrington. Widrington chips it up. It's headed back. Comes in, and then Hayes snatches it off the head of a Shots player. The assistant referee's waving for an offside, but it's not given. And meanwhile, Macaulay Bonn has chased the ball down under pressure from Luca Woodhouse, and the ball comes off of Bonn into touch. Throw in to the Shots.
Woodhouse did really well there. He realised what Bond was going to do, try and just play it off the Shots defender for an attacking throw-in that would have been almost as good as a corner, particularly with Scott Morris's long throws, but he just sidestepped the ball, and then Bond just looked at it forlornly as it rolled out of play for a Shots throw.
All the goals in this game have come in the first half. It's just about half-time now. Gateshead 2, Sutton 1. Jack Rolls on loan from Crawley, I believe. Jovan Malcolm put Gateshead 2-0 up, and Sutton have pulled one back through the Gucci man himself just before half-time, Will Davies. If you know, you know.
And if you don't, you're just scratching your head.
Yeah.
And that's me.
Mayer has scored, but not here at Roots Hall. For Tamworth away at Yeovil, that's 1-0 there. Here's a ball forward from Southend. Hargreaves does well, wins a 40-60. Southend go backwards, now they come forwards, and Luca Woodhouse just moves Josh Walker out of the way to allow the ball to go through to Marcus Dewhurst. We're 42.5 minutes gone, so 2.5 plus whatever referee Breakspear decides to add on, and it remains 0-0 here. Dewhurst's kick bounces once, is then one in the air by Guscott Morris, but his header is going to be hooked forward by Woodhouse. Ralph wins a header. Theo Whittington does well. Ball comes back to him, and then, was that a shot, Steve?
Oh, it was.
Central from 40 yards.
Not particularly accurate, but it was definitely a shot.
Yeah, Kai Corbett was to his right and really wanted the ball played into space, but I think, to give him due credit, I think Theo Whittington may have spotted Nick Hayes just off his line, and he just didn't get hold of the ball the way he wanted to.
Not at all, no. It was, if he was looking to lob Nick Hayes, then he got it all horribly wrong. It was a sliced grass cutter that went out of play, probably about equidistant between the post and the corner flag.
Here's Walker drifting onto a ball down by the corner flag on the right hand side, tries to play it off the Shots player, which he does successfully, Ollie Scott, but he was trying to win the corner and he didn't. He's won a throw, and meanwhile, although it's a throw, James Golding's made his way up from the back. He's probably the tallest of the Southend players. Throw-in's taken into the feet of Parallon. He goes back to Guscott Morris. Oh, wonderful tackle from Ollie Scott, just saw enough of it. And then Parillon gets it and goes past him. He's drifting into the edge of the penalty area, plays it inside, but Guscott Morris has made a hash of the touch. Frost carries the ball. Shots 4 against 4 Southend players. He's still carrying the ball. And now he plays it into Josh Barrett. Josh Barrett left, right, then sends the ball in, and it's blocked. And Parallon did really well, the youngster, to get all the way back there defensively as well, because he was the one that was involved at the other end no more than about 10 or 15 seconds earlier. He's obviously got a heck of an engine on him, the young lad. He
has, yeah. He's been really impressive. Everything that Mayer would have wanted of him, everything that Scott Davis knows he's capable of. That drive, that dynamism, being able to carry the ball long distances, run at the opposition defence. He's been really impressive in the opening 45 minutes. But then the Shots counter, and they don't really make the most of it by any means. Tyler Frost did really well, carrying the ball of his own into the penalty area. It was 4 against 4 momentarily, it was 4 against 3. But then just a little layoff to Josh Barrett, and Barrett tries to just cut inside and hit an ambitious curler, when I think Aldershot needed to be a little bit more direct and continue running on goal.
Here's Walker trying a turn that doesn't come off, then he's chopped down by Ollie Scott. Central, probably 40-45 yards out. We're into 1 minute of added time, and right at the end of the first half, free kick to Southend with an opportunity to get the ball right into the danger zone. It's probably not the ideal angle, just left of centre, but nevertheless James Morton will get the opportunity to send this in. The big guns are up from the back. Parallon himself is quite tall, Bon is quite tall. Perhaps the most imposing is James Golding, the number 18. He's up against Will Armitage, and as the added minute almost elapses, in comes the ball. It's headed across goal, and then a brilliant header almost in front of his own line by Cameron Hargreaves. He literally pops up everywhere. He was James Rose Aldershot Town man of the match on Saturday, and certainly nobody's put more effort and achieved more in this first half than Cameron Hargreaves yet again.
Yeah, a vital interjection. Hadn't even noticed that he was on the scene, and then suddenly he was making a goal-saving header. What's that phrase? 70% of the earth is covered by water, the rest by Cameron Hargreaves.
That's the one. At half-time, Steve and I are going to have a discussion about the word interjection and interception, because I don't think I understand it right, but it must be the trendy word. There is half-time. Let's do it on air, Steve. Interjection. But you've been using interjection rather than interception.
Interjection is when you put yourself between. You make. Oh, I don't know.
I think I know where you're coming from.
Interception is when you take control of something.
Yeah.
Which wasn't intended for you.
Interception, you get.
An interjection is when you put yourself into a situation that maybe you weren't expected to be.
Bit like you doing the commentary tonight. It was meant to be Neil Smudger Smith.
Yeah.
He sent me a grovelling apology yesterday and said, "I'm so sorry. My daughter's in a diving competition in Plymouth, and I've got to take her down."
I think so.
I completely forgot. I'm so sorry. I owe you one, Rob. Something along those lines. And so I had to scrape the barrel, listeners. I had to rattle a few trees and
rattle a few tins.
But anyway, we digress. It's half-time here. It's 0-0. It's by no means a stale 0-0.
No.
I think we've had a couple of easily the two best opportunities, Steve. First and foremost, Walker volleying over from 4 yards after 9 minutes. He should have scored. I'm not even going to say he should have hit the target. He should have scored. And then a terrific effort from Josh Barrett that I think was swerving viciously, and I think Nick Hayes did really well to save.
He did.
So elsewhere in the National League, all these other games will be half-times, of course, because they largely kicked off at 7:45. This one kicked off at 8 if you've joined us late. AFC Fylde 1, Boston 2. Nick Horton is the one who's dragged Fylde back into that after a couple of first half goals from Jacob Hazel. Barnet 1, York City 0. Adebola Aluo with the goal on 16 minutes, and that could be a massive goal. As tight as it's been this season in the National League, Barnet will go 7 points clear tonight. A la Liverpool, 7 points clear at the top of the league. Ebbsfleet 0, Forest Green 0, just proving that Ebbsfleet are making themselves hard to beat by everybody. I think they went best part of an hour against York City on Friday, on Saturday.
And when you're in that position, that's what you need to do. Start picking up points where you otherwise wouldn't have done.
Yep. Gateshead 2, Sutton 1. Will Davies pulling a goal back for Sutton just on half-time. Hartlepool 0, Altrincham 0, Oldham 0, Maidenhead 0, Yeovil 0, Tamworth 1, and Southend 0, Aldershot Town 0 here. In the National League South, if anybody's interested in that, there are two games tonight. Chesham 0, Salisbury 1, Enfield 0, Eastbourne Borough 3. That's quite a surprising scoreline because Enfield have been on fire of late. They were 10 points adrift of safety a month ago, and on Saturday they jumped out of the bottom four. There's a host of games in the National League North as well, two of which have had 4 goals already. Hereford 2, Warrington 2, and Marine 3, Kidderminster 1. That one's not going to plan for Phil Brown. Something possibly to do with Riley Reynolds being sent off. That's Riley Reynolds, not Ryan. And Kings Lynn 2, Oxford City 0. Oxford City down to 10 men after a minute. And Ross Crane has hovered over them a couple of times and put them 2-1 up. And we've been bought sandwiches, Steve. This is unreal.
It is. Yeah, I've been on the phone to my friend Susie Dent in Dictionary Corner. An interjection is a spontaneous reaction to something.
Right.
An interception is taking direct possession of something that wasn't intended for you.
There you go. Perfectly into
I knew the difference, I just couldn't explain it.
Perfectly into our half-time break, listeners. Southend 0, Aldershot Town 0. And Steve and I are going to strap our nose bags on and enjoy some of these sandwiches. Thank you. Goodbye. Speak to you in 10 minutes. Still await the teams here, listeners, for the second half. But I can tell you that at the start of the second half, Barnet have scored again against York City. And it's Lee and Love with the goal. And Yeovil have levelled at home to Tamworth. Aldershot are out for the second half. Somewhere in that away end, away to our right, Steve, is Mark Stokes, the father of Josh, whose company I was in last Tuesday when I went to St Andrews as a guest of Josh and his father. Unfortunately, it wasn't a great night for Cambridge. They got beaten 4-0, but he's on loan, isn't he, from Bristol City at Cambridge. And Mark said to me then, he said, I will try and get and watch the shots when I can. And I said, we're at Southend next week, bearing in mind he's from the sort of Ipswich area. And he said, I'll try and make it if I can. He's just sent me a photo that looks as if it's taken from within the away end there. Southend are out as well, so's our referee, 0-0 at half time. Good evening to Lindsay Morrish, who's also in Tenerife, like Colin Hayden. He said he's sorry he can't make the trip at the weekend. Should be amazing. That's the return of the Strays. Shots against Hartlepool on Saturday. Meet in the George before the game and the Crimea after. Right, let's get underway for the second half. No obvious changes from either side, so we'll run through the lineups for you again. The shots: Dewhurst in goal, Scott, Woodhouse and Armitage. The three centre-backs: Frost, Hargreaves, Theo Widrington and Aaron Jones across the middle. Barnet have scored a third against York City. Corbett, Barham and Barrett, the front three for shots. Is Theo Widrington leaning back as he sends this forward, so it goes a little bit up and under. Headed back from Southend. Ollie Scott can't get the first ball, then it bounces awkwardly in front of Woodhouse. His forward ball is kind of blasted down by Macaulay Bond. And into touch, throw in to the shots, 40 seconds into the second half, 0-0 here. And well, Barnet almost out of sight against York, 3-0 up. And meanwhile Sutton, who scored just before half-time, have scored again at Gateshead, and that one is 2-2. Here's Woodhouse sending the ball forward down the left-hand side. It's going to come back again from Golding. Theo Widrington jumps with Parallon. Parallon wins, sends the ball over the top a little bit too firmly. Dewhurst scurries to the left-hand edge of his box and snaffles the ball. So a minute and a quarter into the second half, and Steve, it seems that Tommy Widrington is not one to make substitutions at half-time very often, but it seems as if both sides are relatively happy with how it's going and probably still feel that they can get into the ascendancy. There's surely a free kick there, and it is indeed. Again, we don't always hear the whistle here. I thought the referee hadn't given it. So dead central, halfway between the centre circle and the D outside the Southend area.
Yeah, I think Southend usually make their substitutions kind of in the final quarter of the game, unless they're necessitated by injuries. So, yeah, I think both managers will have seen enough in the first half to think, well, it isn't entirely broken, so I don't need to fix it just yet. But, yeah, I think as the game goes, the longer the game goes on, certainly the home side, I think they will feel the need to force the issue.
Into the 48th minute we go, 0-0. Josh Barrett to take this free kick, clips it over the wall, and it's headed away by Ralph, and good work from Hargreaves to get onto it. Sends it back down the line. Southend get a touch. Aaron Jones arrives late, Aldershot were going to get a throw in, but Aaron Jones carries on through with his tackle, takes out a Southend player, and he's going to become the second shots player to be yellow carded in this game, Steve. And he wasn't to know that the ball was drifting out of play, but it's such an unnecessary yellow card again.
It was, yeah. Yeah, I think if he could have taken a step back and seen the bigger picture, he would not have launched into that tackle on, and I think it was that man, Parallon.
I think he's been a real fool.
Who fortunately is able to continue. But yeah, it was unfortunate for Aaron that Aldershot Town could have had a promising situation, but now they've all got to take up their defensive positions and field this free kick from Hayes.
From out on the touchline, huge kick. Luca Woodhouse is well positioned, but Macaulay Bond nips in front of him. Ollie Scott gets his foot on it, lifts it forward. Barham's chasing, lost cause. Hayes comes to the edge of his area and just has enough pace to make its way into his hands. He bowls it out on the right side, and Parallon, I beg your pardon. Yeah, it was Parallon all the way back there. He's everywhere, isn't he? He's literally been everywhere in this game. Walker sends the ball back to Morton. Gus Scott Morris with an instant touch around the corner into Husin. And now Harry Taylor and Morton exchange passes. Clip ball over the top. Walker's trying to get onto it. He's having his shirt pulled by Ollie Scott. Not sufficiently for the referee to blow for a foul. Ball into the feet of Noor Husin in the edge of his area. Shots player goes down, trying to clear it. He's played it forward. Ralph does well against Barham. Aldershot come through, win a towering header. And then Parallon's got it again. Central up against Hargreaves. Hargreaves hunting him down. Hargreaves gets a touch on it but can only steer it into the path of Bridge. Bridge is up against Aaron Jones on a yellow card now. Twisting and turning, going one way then the other. Plays the ball to Husin. Ralph, sorry, and they're coming along the byline here, and they win the corner in the end. And Parallon involved in everything. He just keeps popping up everywhere, and he's really a pain for Aldershot Town tonight. Fourth corner of the game for Southend. Steve Gibbs.
Yeah, he's been outstanding as Parallon, absolutely at the heart of everything good that the home side have done this evening. But the other Southend players, particularly those of attack-minded bent, they've not done enough. I think to an extent the youngster has had to lift his team. He's had to carry his teammates. They haven't done enough for me.
In comes the ball to the far post, and then it goes behind the goal. It'll be another corner to Southend. Very difficult to describe that one, listeners. It just basically seemed to go through everybody, and then it was squirming around near the far post, and it ended up behind the goal line. Who had what touches on it, I really don't have a clue. But it's another corner to Southend. It's 0-0. We're in 51 minutes is about to elapse. In comes the ball. It's going to land right underneath the crossbar. Dewhurst gets something on it, but Southend have picked it up. Golding's up there. Aldershot can't quite clear it. Hargreaves does well in the end and does clear it down the line. Barham chases, holds it up, has an extra touch, does well, goes back to Hargreaves. Hargreaves turns and then hooks it down the line on the right side. Morton picks up the loose ball. Just feel the game's getting a little bit more stretched now. Here comes Bridge down the left flank. Squares it across inside. Husin shot! And it goes in. Dewhurst was wrong-footed. There may have been a slight deflection on it. Just rolled across on the edge of the area. Husin had time to set himself and then shot low into the net. There may have been a slight deflection. Certainly Dewhurst was wrong-footed, but Southend do take the lead in the 52nd minute. Southend United 1, Aldershot Town 0.
Yeah, excellent play from Jack Bridge. One of the first times that he's really been able to force himself into the game in an advanced position. And then you expected the cross square into that corridor of uncertainty, the edge of the 6-yard box. But no, he had the ability, the awareness, and the time, unfortunately, to pull it back. And who you want running onto that? Noor Husin. Yes, I think it took a slight deflection, or maybe Dewhurst was slightly unsighted by a couple of the defenders in front of him, but nonetheless Hussein was able to find the bottom corner. Southend 1 up. What have the shots got in response?
Well, I didn't want to have to use this stat, but Southend have taken the lead 15 times this season, and they've only ever been pegged back 4 times out of that 15. The other 11 they've seen out the game. Aldershot Town, who once again have been in the game, they've been competitive but haven't been able to take a chance and get themselves ahead, find themselves behind now in a game that frankly they really need to get something out of. Otherwise that bottom 4 places is going to open up and swallow them in very soon, Steve. It's been coming for a long while, and I keep telling everybody they won't drop into it, but they're getting perilously close now.
Yeah, and I'm reminded of a stat. The 23rd of October, Aldershot Town played Southend at the Ebb Stadium. That was the last time the Shots kept a clean sheet.
Inside the area, Southend fans claim handball, nothing given. Aldershot launch it up to the other end, and Hayes will reverse and then pick it up. A little bit of a desperate shout, that I think, from the Southend fans. Didn't really look anything like a handball to me. Steve, did it to you?
No, I think it was a little bit of a harem-scarer moment in the Shots defence, but I think they managed to survive the scare pretty well, and legally as well.
Sensed the game was starting.
I think for me that came off the defender's chest.
Okay.
He was leaning across it, so I can see where the appeals came from.
Okay, Barham sends it out to the left to Frost. He goes down. Referee blows for the free kick. Sutton have come from 2-0 down to lead 3-2 at Gateshead. And Aldershot will have a set piece. Perhaps this time they'll just make sure they're not doing any silly in the box, because that's what happened last time they got a free kick in this position and weren't able to get any kind of effort on goal. 55 minutes, very nearly gone now. Josh Barrett is going to take the free kick, is he? Yep, over on the far side. It's just outside the penalty area, only a yard outside, but it's on the left side of the penalty area. Dewhurst's halfway up his own half, and everybody else is in the other half, at the end where the Shots fans are. Can they suck this one in? Barrett, right-footed. I've got to dodge one way and then the other to look round the post. In it comes, and it's deflected behind for a corner. It'll be Aldershot Town's 4th of the evening. It'll come towards the end of the 56th minute, and they trail now, if you've just joined us, by 1-0. Noor Hussein stroking from just inside the area, and a rather leaden-footed Dewhurst. I think he may well have been wrong-footed, possibly by a slight deflection. Shots take the corner short. Here's Barrett getting onto it, goes down with the ball inside the penalty area, then he's laying on the floor and it's taken off him. Aldershot come back in with a challenge, and that's going to be a free kick, and the player over there can't quite believe it, Tyler Frost. Referee gives the free kick and nothing more. A reminder that Theo Widrington, Cameron Hargreaves and Tommy Widrington on the sidelines have all been shown yellow cards this evening. I can't recall seeing one for a Southend player yet. No,
there hasn't been, but that corner, what a waste. Taken short, and then the second touch was a 50-50.
I hate live league tables and I don't want to look, but Maidenhead have just gone 1-0 up at Oldham Athletic. In comes a ball from the right from Southend. That's going to fizz away behind the goal. Goal kick to the Shots. I think I've looked at the table enough times to know that that's not a scoreline Aldershot Town want to be seeing. And Oldham, you better get your finger out, and Aldershot Town better get theirs out and try and get something from this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's not where you are after 29, 30 games, wherever we are into the season. It's where you are at the end of the season. But yeah, psychologically, you don't want to be dropping into that bottom 4, because then the pressure, the mentality will only increase and will only change for the negative.
Tommy said to me after the game on Saturday, and I tend to agree with him, it's not too often that his side doesn't score a goal. And that's what happened on Saturday. But here we are almost an hour into the next game and they still haven't scored. And unfortunately, the facts and figures and stats will show that Aldershot very, very, very rarely keep a clean sheet. And they've not kept one tonight either. So,
no, as I just said, the last time they kept a clean sheet in a league game was the reverse fixture of tonight, way back in October.
Here come Aldershot over halfway. Hargreaves spreading the ball out to Theo Widrington. Both the Widrington sends it forward. Barham times his run well. He's going to get onto it down by the byline. Sends it in first time. And Barrett was almost there. It was a lovely ball in, but just whizzed past him. And then Barrett falls over, trying to control a relatively simple pass. Southend spread it down the right hand side. Luca Woodhouse is being chased by Walker. Goes back to Dewhurst, who pirouettes and takes the ball away from Walker and then spreads it back to Luca Woodhouse. Well done, Marcus. Great bit of close control there, never in doubt. Ball down the left side, cut out by Golding. And Southend will just keep it in on the right line over there. Guscott Morris switches the play up towards Bonn, who holds it and cushions it into the path of Jack Bridge. He's up against Aaron Jones now. Bridge going to the byline, tries to get his cross in. It's firm, it's over everybody really, and Tyler Frost will collect it at the far side of the area. He can make 5-10 yards forward. Is he going to try an early diagonal? He is. He's looking for Aaron Jones, but falls short. Ralph wins it in the air. It's flicked on. Good coming together between Hargreaves and Bonn, I think. No, it's not Bonn.
I think it was that man, Parallon.
Yeah, Parallon. And is it a yellow card? So that's a fourth yellow card, and it's Cameron Hargreaves. So 3 of the 4 across the middle now.
No, I think it was Ollie Scott, actually. I think the referee, there was a second coming together after Hargreaves and Parallon had clashed, and it was Ollie Scott who's picked up the yellow card.
Thank you, Steve. Southend 1, Aldershot Town 0. We're fast approaching the hour mark. It's 10 seconds away.
And that was for a foul on Josh Walker.
Yeah,
from Ollie Scott.
Free kick is a third of the way into the Aldershot Town half. On the right hand side, James Morton is going to swing it in left footed. The defensive line's 5 or 6 yards outside the penalty area. Clipped up, headed away by Luca Woodhouse, but straight to that man Parallon. He's running around the edge of the area now. Gives the ball out to the right hand side to Golding, who's stayed well forward. And Southend send it in, and it almost falls at the feet of Frost. Goes behind the goal. It'll be another corner to Southend. And the shots in the game and in the season living precariously. And Southend understandably not in any great rush. Sean Mikulski it was, who has put Maidenhead 1-0 up at Oldham in the 64th minute. Oldham going through a difficult time. I think they're just fading out of any potential title race that they're involved in. Well placed for the playoffs, of course. Aldershot's Brad Dollahan's just finished a warm-up. Surely we'll see him soon.
Yeah.
Does Aldershot have to freshen something up? In comes the corner. Flicked on by an Aldershot Town player and then blazed over by Golding. Probably not as badly as Walker in the first half.
No.
But ironically, the flick on came from the head of a shots player. But I don't think Golding would have worried about that.
No, I think it dropped at his feet too quickly. He just had to throw a leg at it. Caught it sweetly. Maybe too sweetly. If he'd scuffed it, it might have gone in. But in the end, he could only blaze it high over the crossbar. But yeah, I think Aldershot Town do need to change things up. We do need to see Holohan and see what he can do. A lively, predatory striker, create something from nothing. That's the sort of moment that Aldershot Town need at the moment.
Ryan Jones is going to be the one that comes on first, though, for the shots, unless it's going to be a double substitution. Theo Widrington on the ball in the centre of the park now. Sends it to Hargreaves. Hargreaves to Scott. Those 3 all in the referee's notebook already. No, I'll tell a lie. Hargreaves isn't, is he?
No, it was Ollie Scott.
Yeah, Ollie Scott, sorry. Here's a ball sent inside to Corbett. Corbett goes back to Hargreaves. Hargreaves gives him the ball back. He's on the edge of the area. He jiggles past. He tries a shot from distance, and it's on target, but didn't really have much sting on the shot. And nice and easy for Hayes to deal with.
Yeah, far too easy for a goalkeeper the quality of Nick Hayes. Corbett did well to buy himself a yard of space and to get the shot away, but it was never going to trouble the goalkeeper. And yeah, I think the welcome introduction of Ryan Jones, who at the moment I would have in my starting 11. I think there's been a little bit of conjecture about why he's not been starting recently.
Here's Corbett. He's shaken off Morton, sends it out to the left side. Barrett skips over it and allows Frost to get onto it. Southend quickly getting men back. Ball comes into the area. Barrett, can he make room and score? Oh, it's hit the outside of the post and come out and been cleared away. It was a really, really acute angle. He turned it back on himself and it jiggled and bobbled and maybe just came off the foot of the post. He's on the march forward now. Barrett gives it to Widrington. Good shot from Widrington. Beaten away to the right-hand side by Hayes. 2 chances in a minute for the shots. They're knocking on the door.
Yeah, this is much better. Josh Barrett, I think he was the only person that would have thought to place the ball where he did. Directly back across goal, acute angle. Unfortunately, it came off the outside of the post. And then that was a really good side-footed effort from Theo. Definitely heading into that corner of the goal. Much better save from Hayes that time. Shots need to capitalise, keep lifting it.
Here's Hargreaves coming forward on the left-hand side. Frost gives the ball to Hargreaves. Hargreaves back to Ollie Scott. Ollie Scott's going to send the ball in now. Barrett's got it under control in the area, back to goal. Twists one way and turns then the other. Then he's gone too far as he knows he's won the ball back again. Then he's pulled back his shirt inside the penalty area, nothing given. No appeals either, seemingly. The ball's in touch, throw into Southend. Steve, unless my eyes are deceiving me, Barrett's on the ball in the penalty area and they pulled on his shirt like that.
It did seem like it.
He stayed on his feet.
Yeah, I think, not saying he's too honest, but maybe the referee felt it wasn't enough of a tug to bring him off his feet or impede him, but yeah, he turned into trouble, did Josh. He had an opportunity to turn the other way, maybe into a little bit of space, but no, he turned into a couple of Southend defenders.
Very, very honest. An awful lot of players in football, when they feel that tug on the shirt, they would have just fallen to the ground, and the referee would have had a decision to make. We've got a very good view of it from up here, and we don't know where the referee was placed, so I don't want to have a go at him. Southend are going to make a double substitution. Ryan Jones came on for Kai Corbett. And here is Luca Woodhouse having to hook the ball over his head. Hargreaves does the same thing, and then Ralph will shepherd the ball back to his goalkeeper. Barrett's interested, shut him down. Huge kick from Hayes. Good leap from Ollie Scott, gets something on it, finds Barrett. Barrett's going to stroke the ball into Barham. He's on the edge of the area now. He's got a tight angle and he gets a shot in, and it's spilt by Hayes. And then following up was Ryan Jones, but Hayes snaffled it back in. Shot on target from Jack Barham, but he didn't by any means get hold of it, did he?
No, he didn't know, and the angle was always going to be prohibitive. He was being forced wide inside the penalty area. He had to get the shot away, otherwise any sort of moment would have been lost. He wasn't able to catch it sweetly, but Ryan Jones has come on, a direct replacement for Kai Corbett in the number 10 position, with Barrett and Barham up front. But Southend are going to respond with 2 substitutions of their own. Ollie Coker's one of them.
Yeah,
I haven't quite worked out who the second one is, but yeah.
The home side have just lost their way a little bit.
They have, and the shots have come into it with those 2 chances in the last few minutes. The other sub is Tom Hopper, striker, who scored the equaliser against... he scored against FC Halifax a week ago tonight. So yeah, they feel they need fresh legs, change it up a little bit. We'll see how this works out tactically.
Well, Parallon's coming off and he's getting a standing ovation.
Deservedly so. And that'll be Ollie Coker, a straight swap in central midfield, in attacking midfield. He is someone who can play the number 10 role that Parallon has done so well this evening, and now it's Hopper coming on. It looks like it's Josh Walker who's coming off for Southend again. Another straight swap in attack. Hopper probably more of a target man than Walker. He's not had the best of evenings in front of goal, but certainly Hopper is maybe more able to lead the line on his own, and will certainly give this Shots defence no respite.
Yeah, Tom Hopper wearing the number 21 shirt. Throw into the shots taken by Frost into Ryan Jones, hooks it straight in over his head. Noor Hussein's picked it up, but there's a bit of a ping pong and a ricochet, and Scott's onto it, but now he's been dispossessed. Hargreaves shutting down Southend player. The substitute who's just come on is quickly shut down. There's good pressure from shots. They're having the best spell of the game here in the last 7 or 8 minutes. They've got themselves a throw on the right hand side. Aaron Jones is up there to take it into Theo Widrington, gets the ball back from Aaron Jones. He's down by the right touchline and he's lost it, given it away, and then Ryan Jones is battling away for it, but is hooked forward by Nathan Ralph, and Bon can't win the header, but Aldershot head it straight to Hussein. Lovely ball from Hussein to Gus Scott Morris on the right hand side, overlapping run for Coker, who's just come on. Cross comes in, that's cut out by Cameron Hargreaves, and it goes behind for another Southend corner.
Yeah, it's a good response from Southend. Aldershot had been building a bit of a head of steam, exerting some pressure. Then they go up the other end and they win a corner just to release a bit of that steam. Give the Aldershot defence something more to think about, rather than the Southend defence having their backs to the wall.
Just Gateshead have scored a third against Sutton, 3-3 their cracking game. 1-0 to Southend here, and they've got a corner, and it comes underneath the goal, and it's over the goal line, and must have been a foul, so the ball's ended up in the net, but as you could probably tell, even with our muted sound effects microphone this evening, that wasn't the cheer that greets a goal.
No, it was momentarily, I thought the referee pointed back towards the halfway line, but that was to signal a free kick for Aldershot rather than a restart.
Here come Southend, heading the ball away. Hargreaves battling away, he's onto it for a second time. Goes back to Dewhurst, who kicks up towards and beyond halfway. Southend now winning it in the air. Good flick, backward header from Hussein, the goal scorer. Finds Bridge under threat from Aaron Jones. The ball's played down the line. Inside, Bond's got it, and quickly Woodhouse comes across. Then off the ball, there's an incident. The ball's sent into the area, and it's going to be poked in at the far post, and it's that man again that always scores for Southend. He knows where to be. He's doubled their lead, poking home from 3 or 4 yards at the far post. Gus Scott Morris. Southend United 2, Aldershot Town 0.
Yeah, you'd have to think that's 3 points, game done and dusted, unless Aldershot Town can effect a pretty remarkable turnaround in the final quarter of this game. But for the second time this evening, it's Southend doing what Southend do, working the ball wide, supplying a low cross into that goal mouth, and then there's someone applying a devastating finish. It was Noor Hussein arriving on the ball, arriving late from midfield for the first goal, and then Gus Scott Morris, what's that, about his 13th of the season?
12th, I think, but by my reckoning, but yeah.
12 goals, yeah. 13th of the season, and
Aldershot now bring on Brad Dollahan in the 19th minute for Josh Barrett.
Yeah, who seems to
sorry, with 71st minute, 19 to go.
He seems to be limping somewhat as he heads off. Now you'd think that's going to be a front two with Holohan and Barham, abetted by the lively, tricky presence of Ryan Jones. Aldershot Town need all the attacking quality they can get.
Dewhurst has sent the ball forward, and
he was caught late by.
He was caught
as he made the clearance. I think it was by Hopper.
Yeah, the referee's going to check that Dewhurst's okay. Did he get his book out for Hopper or not?
Not that I've seen yet. He might well have done.
He's writing in it now. Yeah, Hopper, and that's the first yellow of the evening for Southend. Already 4 shots, players, staff in the book. Dewhurst sends the ball from the free kick forward on the left hand side, and we're going to get 18-19 minutes plus whatever's added on to look at Brad Dollahan. Loney from West Ham, as Steve says. Aldershot in possession of the ball. At the moment, the scoreline's the same as it was on Saturday at Eastleigh. They've gone longer into this game with a clean sheet, but ultimately they couldn't get the first goal again, and Southend are looking to have taken the lead for a 16th time in the match and only given up that lead again 25% of those games. They're pretty mean once they get their noses in front.
They are. Yeah, their strength is based on an impressive defensive record, and once they've got the lead, as your stat proves, they're not in the habit of giving it up.
Ball's on the roof of the stand on the far side, and it's gradually trickling back. It might land on the head of Scott Morris. No, it's just going to disappear behind him. Another ball's been brought on. I think one of the saddest things about the game situation and the scoreline, Steve, is that as it stands for Southend, they don't need to do an awful lot to secure the 3 points from here, do they, really?
No.
No. You know, they will keep trying to build attacks, I'm sure. They're at home, and the second goal gives them a little bit of a cushion. But
yeah, a third goal would absolutely kill the game, but all they have to do now is keep a clean sheet, and it's a relatively comfortable night's work with maximum reward. But Aldershot Town need to make sure that in the remaining 18 minutes they give this Southend defence an uncomfortable time. Something to think about.
Yeah, here's Ollie Scott overrunning in possession. Shots get the block on. They onto it now with Hargreaves. He finds Dollahan, but Dollahan's been quickly dispossessed. Southend play it down the right. Scott's onto it. Golding hammers it into touch. In fact, it very nearly stayed in, but Hopper couldn't keep it in. Throw into shots 10 yards inside the Southend half from the green shoots of the beginning of 2025 and that 10-game unbeaten run in all competitions. Most of the wins, of course, were in cups, weren't they?
Yep.
But from there, from those foundations, has come, well, literally absolutely nothing at Eastleigh and nothing today. But it's not over yet, although Shot's hopes of getting back into it are looking somewhat unlikely. Ball's in touch, throw in to the Shots. Aaron Jones to take. 15 minutes left plus added time. Let's hope the Shots can get firing again on Saturday in front of the stray shots that are coming from all over the country and all over the world to support their team, including one chap, Lewis Davis, from the North East, who's not been to a home game since 1996, I think it was.
Wow.
And he does go to a lot of the away games up north, so that's a big trip for him. And many others who are coming, many of them by boat, plane,
trains, planes and automobiles, and
private jet, all sorts. Ball forward from Southend, cut out well by Woodhouse, and then he shifts it to the side looking for Aaron Jones, but it'll just drift into touch. I think Southend are going to make another substitution now. They are indeed, and it's
Charlie Kendall,
number 24. Charlie Kendall is a former Woking striker. He won't need much motivation in this final 15 minutes. Macaulay Bonne comes off. No goals for him again tonight. However, he's part of what looks like is going to be a winning Southend United side. Came into the evening third in the form table in the National League, and the win tonight is going to take them up to 8th place in the National League. Aldershot won the ball in their own half. Southend thought it was a free kick, nothing given. Theo Widrington sends it over the top. Golding heads it into the path of Barham, who scurries forward. He's off balance, but he turns the other way. He's got it back under control now. Finds Ryan Jones. First time ball into the path of Aaron Jones. Jones tries to get it in. It's cut out from behind. It goes behind for a corner to the Shots. They're 5th of the game. And they really need to do something from this if we're going to have any kind of a grandstand finish to this one.
Yeah, that was a really good move though. Really good, quick, incisive passing. Probably deserved more than a corner, but I think Aldershot Town will take it.
Yeah, Southend don't give up too many goals, do they?
No.
Got 12.5 minutes plus added time to hold on. Here's Ryan Jones with the ball in. It's not cleared, followed up, shot comes in and it's in. I think it's Cameron Hargreaves. He's managed to get it through a crowded area, and the shots who've been threatening a little bit of a comeback have found it in the 78th minute. Cameron Hargreaves with his second goal of the season. Aldershot back in this one. Southend United 2, Aldershot Town 1.
Yeah, he's led by example this evening as Cameron Hargreaves. He's been everywhere, that typical perpetual motion machine. And he's now got Aldershot Town back into this one. It does go through a crowd of players, but he just hits it so sweetly, so powerfully. I think even if Hayes had had a clear sight of it, he wouldn't have got to it. The ball was past him before he dived. In the protests at the goal, Kevin Mayer has been booked. That's both head coaches on yellow cards now as well. But yeah, game on. From nothing, Aldershot Town have got themselves back into this one, and now at the very, very least, whether they get a point from this game or not, or even 3 points, whatever the outcome of this, Aldershot Town need to throw the biggest kitchen sink they can find at Southend in the remaining 12 minutes, and at least give it a go, and send those couple of hundred Shots fans back round the M25 with at least something to cling to. A little bit of hope for Saturday, in the knowledge that their team at least showed some fight and gave it a go.
Yeah, 11 minutes left in this one. Southend coming forward. Armitage does well. He's then fouled as he tries to clear it. And I can't understand some of the dissent to some of these most blatantly obvious fouls. And the crowd are sometimes, it's just a home partisan crowd, isn't it? They're a little bit worried because they cruise into a win, and now it's 2-1. York have pulled goal back at Barnet, may prove to be just mere consolation. Altrincham in fine form at the moment have scored in the 87th minute through Regan Linney to be 1-0 up at Hartlepool. And what a game at Gateshead, 4-3 up now against Sutton. And Jack Rolls on loan from Crawley with his second goal of the night. Ryan Jones has given that ball away, and Aldershot's latest attack has come to an end. Harry Taylor goes back to his keeper, who was down and managed to waste a minute or two after the goal. I think his pride was hurt after conceding a clean sheet. But here's a good steal from the Shots winning the ball. Oh, tremendous tackle on from Harry Taylor on Tyler Frost. Took it clean off him. And Gus Scott Morris coming down the right hand side, sends the ball in. Woodhouse can't quite clear it. The ball's come loose. Theo Whittington steers it back to Marcus Dewhurst, sends it forward. Hargreaves steers it into the path of Woodhouse, who finds Dollahan. Dollahan sends it down the right hand side to Barham, but he's been outwitted by James Golding. Lewis Davis is listening to the commentary. He said it's 1994. Chertsey were the visitors' big win for the Shots that day. That's the chap who lives up in the northeast, who is coming down to Aldershot for the first time in a while. Altrincham have scored again in 90+2. They're flying inside the top 7, and Hartlepool can't quite get their playoff campaign going. What's that, Steve? I looked up.
Aaron Jones stole a few too many yards on a throw-in down this near touchline, inside his own half, and he's been penalised by Mr. Breakspear. And now Southend have an attacking throw. When Aldershot Town are trying to build momentum, do the basics, don't risk falling foul of any overly officious refereeing or a referee making the correct decision, because then it just puts you on the back foot.
Ebbsfleet 0, Forest Green 0 is a full-time score, and Fylde 1, Boston 2 is a full-time score. Here's Jack Bridge in possession for Southend, who immediately they've conceded have got on the front foot again, whereas in the 10-12 minutes before that it was all Aldershot pushing and they were quite content sitting back. But now the ball's back with Luca Woodhouse. He's inside his own penalty area, plays it short to Will Armitage. He's going to lift it forward now down the right side. He's going to send it straight to James Morton, and James Morton's going to head it straight into touch. We've got, listeners, 8 minutes left, and the Shots are down but not out, and they've still got a little bit of hope. Backing it through that Cameron Hargreaves goal. Here's Luca Woodhouse coming forward. sends it down the right side, looking for Barham. He surely is pulled down, but nothing's given. The ball, as a double ricochet, comes off a Southend player, and well, they're giving the throw into Southend. That's a bit of a dodgy one. Everybody in the media box here shaking their heads. It's always telling. I looked round and they were looking quite sheepish there. Throw down the line, headed away by Aaron Jones. Noor Hussein, who got things started for Southend, clears it forward. Southend supporters want another free kick. They want free kicks because the Aldershot Town players are breathing and moving, and they're claiming for free kicks for everything. It's just a throw. It's a throw into Aldershot. Taken down the line by Armitage, flicked on by Ryan Jones, chested down by Brad Dollahan, played across nicely, good hold up play there from Dollahan, into the path of Widrington, who sends it out to the left hand side to Tyler Frost. Frost is up against Gus Scott Morris, who knows he's going to come back on his right foot. He does do that, but Hargreaves has got it. Pirouette, gets away from his man, spreads it across to Armitage, who's well forward. Aaron Jones is going to try across. That's headed away by Golding, but only as far as Ollie Scott. Scott's going to send it out to the left side to Tyler Frost, 84th minute now. Frost up against Gus Scott Morris. He's going to try a left-footed cross, and he smashes it against Gus Scott Morris. It's heading for behind for a corner, but it hits Frost again on the way out, and it will be a goal kick to Southend United. What would it mean, Steve, if the Shots could just somehow force it would be a massive lift of morale, wouldn't it?
Would.
More than anything. And
it
of
would.
Course, another point on the board.
It would be worth more than just a point. Going into a run of really tough games, Saturday, Tuesday, every week until April Fool's Day, and with two home games coming up against teams in that top half of the table, it would mean so much. But that's why Aldershot Town need to throw everything they can in the final minutes at Southend, almost regardless of the result. At least go in showing that you can trouble teams in these sorts of positions.
Shots coming down the right hand side now with Barham. He's getting to the area, pulls it back across. It's cleared away by Southend up towards Hussein, who's under pressure now from Aaron Jones. Does well to hold it up, steers it into the path of Jack Bridge. Ryan Jones comes across from nowhere and wins it brilliantly, cleanly. Feeds the ball to Aaron Jones. He's going to send the ball in looking for Dollahan. It's flicked up in the air by Barham. It's gone behind. What is it? Corner or goal kick? Goal kick.
Goal kick.
I thought it came off Jack Barham. Not sure what he was trying to do. Just get something on it. Max Mullins is going to come on for Shots, but prior to that, I think we're going to see Goodliff for.
Yeah, I think Maxi Mullins' number was the first one that came up.
It is. Mullins coming on for Aaron Jones, who's
and Theo takes over the captain's armband, and Goodliff coming on in place of Bridge, a good old-fashioned, rock-solid centre half
for a winger,
or for a wing back. That probably means that just Nathan Ralph will push out one position from left-sided centre back to left wing back.
And for Shots, Frost's coming over to the right-hand side. Jones to the left now. Mullins is just going to play in between the midfield and the forwards. Ralph gets in front of him there to poke that ball out to the right hand side. Scott does well to get back there and hook it clear. Golding wins under pressure from Barham. Head tennis at the moment. Noor Hussein tries to bring it down for Gus Scott Morris, who it looks like is going to score the winning goal here for Southend today. Here they come again though on the byline. Shot comes in. It's into the side netting. It's a goal kick, and Woodhouse did his best to try and put him off, but Charlie Kendall was desperate to get on the score sheet for himself first and foremost, but against Aldershot as an ex-Woking player.
Yeah, he did really well to nip in there. I think Woodhouse was perhaps either out-muscled, out-witted, half asleep maybe. Should not have allowed Kendall to get into that shooting position, but fortunately for the Shots it was into the side netting.
Here's Ollie Scott sending the ball forward down the left-hand side. Jack Barham's there. He's trying to hold it up, but is over the top of him comes a header into touch. 87 minutes have gone. 6,632 here at Roots Hall tonight, including an excellent 196 Aldershot Town fans. Throw in to the Shots. Ryan Jones is going to take it long. Woodhouse is coming up from the back. Armitage is already there In it comes from Ryan Jones. Oh, flicked on by a Southend player. Comes to the edge of the area and Southend managed to clear it. Theo Widdrington just gets there in front of Charlie Kendall. Steers it to Ollie Scott and waves to Dewhurst to say send it down the right side. Dewhurst sends it down the middle. Barham almost gets it under control. Golding lifts it up in the air. Not pretty at times now. Southend just need to be effective just to clear their lines, get it forward. They've found Kendall. He's holding it up just inside the Aldershot town half. The clock ticks on. We've had almost 88 minutes. There'll be some keen eyes on this near touch line as Aldershot give a silly free kick away there from Luca Woodhouse. Unnecessary. Southend player goes down. It's probably going to stay down for a little while as well.
It was unnecessary.
And the man of the match has been given to James Golding, who's the central of the three centre backs. I think Steve and I had already unofficially given it to the man who's gone off, Leon Chambers Parillon, who was a handful all night. Ultimately, though, the man who's made the difference all season for Southend is going to do it as it stands. That's Gus Scott Morris, and little did we know at the time he put them 2-0 up that goal could prove to be so crucial. It may well yet do. They have a free kick though here, Southend. It'd be interesting to see if they do actually send it in or whether they just keep possession from it. Scott Morris is there and he eventually takes it short and then goes down the right hand side himself, and he'll try and take it somewhere near the corner flag and keep it in. Tries to play it off an Aldershot player for a corner, doesn't make contact with any player in yellow, goes behind the goal, and it's a goal kick to the shots. We're into the 90th minute, so we'll keep our eye on the fourth official in the next minute or so and see how much added time there's going to be. Oldham have lost 1-0 at home to Maidenhead. I give you the National League. Here's Ryan Jones, head down, left channel, sends a ball in. Max Mullins has got it back to goal, shifts it further across to the right hand side of the penalty area to Frost. Frost make room for a shot, shoots, it's blocked and goes behind for a corner. Ralph it was who got the key touch on it, done his job. Corner to the shots, and everybody up there and involved now, with the exception of Dewhurst, who asks the question, do you want me to go
Not
up?
Yet. Not yet, it's too early.
Not yet. We haven't seen the added time yet.
Yeah, I've not seen anything. I would guess about 4.
Yeah, we can't see it. In comes the corner, and is headed.
Another corner.
Yeah, I think it was Frost making the run. It's going to be 5. Going to be potentially a nervy 5 minutes for the Shrimpers. A hopeful one perhaps for the shots. Ryan Jones sends in the corner left-footed. It's headed up and clear by Southend. Ryan Jones will run on and retrieve it, and he'll send it in again to the far side. Headed back across by Armitage. Headed up in the air by man of the match Golding. Cleared towards touch by Nathan Ralph, who's over on the right-hand side. Throw into the shots. 33 seconds into a minimum of 5 added on. Southend United 2, Aldershot Town 1. Can the shots get something out of this game late on? Plucky, they've certainly been all night, but they're on the edge of another defeat in the National League. Ryan Jones with the throw, in it comes, flicked on and on again, and then cleared away, up in the air by Dollahan. Another header, all sorts of people onto it. Hargreaves is almost there, goes out to Ryan Jones. He's got his head down, he's going to the edge of the area, tries to chip ball over the top, looking for Barham. It's headed clear by Ralph. Widdrington heads it back again. Now it's volleyed forward by Ralph. Dewhurst a long way out of his area. Ollie Scott does brilliantly to step in front of Charlie Kendall and head it back to Dewhurst, who rolls it out to Theo Widdrington. Goes back to Dewhurst. Now he's going to kick long. Mullins is pushed in the back as he jumps, but Golding clears forward. Luca Woodhouse has got it, tries an extravagant turn. The ball's in touch. The throw-in's given to Aldershot Town. Woodhouse has a go at the fourth official. Kev Mayer says, can he talk to you like that? Trying to get Max Mullins booked. And meanwhile, it'll be a throw-in to Aldershot. Frost down the line. Into touch again, another throw to Aldershot. 2 of the minimum of 5 minutes have elapsed. Frost is going to take this throw, and everybody's gone a long way from him, so he must have a long throw in his locker. We don't see it very often. In it comes and Armitage, Woodhouse flicks it on. Hargreaves has got it back to goal. Goes to Theo Widrington, sends it out to the right hand side. Frost is going to send in across now. That's headed away. That's going to go just behind. It's going to be another corner to the shots. I think both sides have had 7 corners this evening, but the key stats are Southend 2 goals, Aldershot 1. Luke Jenkins is going to come on as well, a final substitute for the shots.
I think he's going to be an auxiliary striker. The way he shot out from the dugout, I think he's just going to be thrown up front and asked to get his head on something.
And what a moment for him. Can he do something? He's missed so much of this season, but he's on now with 2 of a minimum of 5 added minutes still to go on. Ryan Jones to take this corner. In it comes. Oh, the header at the far post. Max Mullins gets up and he glances his header too much and it goes wide. Big opportunity for the shots. It certainly wasn't an easy one, Steve, but
it wasn't.
He missed the target.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy one, but he rose highest. Even in a crowded penalty area, Maxi Mullins stood out, but unfortunately he twisted his head and guided the ball wide rather than just punching his neck through it and sending it goalwards. You'd hope that Aldershot Town are going to get another chance, because that was really good. 7 yards out, middle of goal, and he punches that header wide.
Since the hour mark, Aldershot have had the only 5 chances of the game, and they've taken 1 of them. But Southend, I think we're going to end this game with Aldershot having more chances than Southend, and it just literally gives you a snapshot of how it is at the minute.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. They're in games, they're creating chances, but the goals are not going in any credit against the goals that are going in at the other end.
No,
and that's football.
On Saturday, Southend had, I think, 15 chances.
Easily, yeah.
Southend in their game against Rochdale had 15 chances. They only had 1 on target and they still got a point. All right, that was an own goal, but it's not about the quantity, it's the quality. And Aldershot Town do not have that at the moment.
Ball is just inside the Aldershot Town half. Woodhouse sends it back to Dewhurst. He's been shut down now, clears forward. It's not the best pass, but it should find Mullins. Mullins holds it up, plays it inside to Frost. Frost round the corner to Dollahan. Dollahan holding the ball up, turns a ball round the corner, but that's well read by Noor Hussein, and he can launch a counter-attack now, but Luke Jenkins is onto the ball, clears it forward, right-footed, looking for Mullins, trying to get the flick on. Is he fouled? No, nothing given. Hussein picks up the ball on halfway. He's under pressure from Frost. He's got away from him, sends it down the left, and they go all the way back to Marcus Dewhurst. The 5 added minutes is up, and there is the final whistle, and a double fist pump from Kev Mayer signals that the 3 points are staying here in Essex this evening. Second consecutive season that the Shrimpers have beaten the Shots here at Roots Hall. Aldershot certainly didn't lay down and take the defeat quietly, but it is nevertheless defeat, Steve, by 2 goals to 1.
Yeah, they gave it a go. They found mustered something of a grandstand finish, but it was too little, too late. Southend doing what they do, scoring Southend types of goals from the flanks, getting the balls into the middle, and then applying close range finishes. That's how they score a huge percentage of their goals. And Aldershot Town, it's one thing knowing what the opposition are going to do, it's another thing being able to stop it, and Southend are periodically very good at what they do. Aldershot Town, it's not going their way at the moment. They need to find a way to start picking up points, because they won 3 of the first 6 games at the start of this season. Since then, it's been 24 games and they've still only won another 3. Aldershot Town need to pick up points starting on Saturday. It's a difficult game. It's Hartlepool, who are up in around the top 10 of this table with Southend. It will not be easy. And then it's Solihull, who also have playoff pretensions. So those games, Aldershot Town need to start finding their home form. They need to start re-establishing Fortress Ebb Stadium, to give due credit to Tim Elliott. But whatever they do, they need to start picking up points, because at the moment, yes, you can be on 9-game unbeaten runs, but if you're only winning one of those league games and you're drawing too many home games against teams that you should be beating or you need to be beating when they're in and around that little mini league at the bottom of the table, you're only going to go one way, and that is down into or close to the bottom 4. And Aldershot Town may well be in that bottom 4 this evening. I don't want to preempt what you're about to say, but this period between now and 1 month's time, the 18th of March, and then you extend that another couple of weeks to the 1st of April, there are a heck of a lot of games, either against teams that have playoff pretensions or teams that are in and around that mini league, the bottom 8. And if Aldershot Town aren't picking up points against those teams in the bottom 8, they are only going to go one way, and they will deservedly go only one way.
Okay, thank you very much, Steve Gibbs. I'm going to run through the other results, and we'll have a look at that league table, which is getting more and more precarious at the moment. By the game, Fylde 1, Boston 2. Both sides within the just hold on to it if you can. Within the bottom 4. But Boston have won that one by 2-1. Jacob Hazel with the 2 goals. Barnet 3, York 1. Barnet goes 7 clear at the top. Ebbsfleet, creditable point tonight at home to Forest Green Rovers. Stunning game at Gateshead where they went 2-0 up against Sutton. Sutton then came back to lead 3-2. And in the end, Gateshead won 4-3. 2 goals for Crawley Loney, Jack Rolls in that one. All latish goals at Hartlepool against Altrincham, but Altrincham steal away with all the points. They've gone to Oldham and won, they've gone to Gateshead and drawn, and they've gone to Hartlepool now and won. Terrific away performances from Altrincham, who really solidify their place in the top 7. Oldham 0, Maidenhead 1. Thank you for nothing to the Latics, and Yeovil 2, Tamworth 1. That's a good comeback in the second half with goals from Charlie Cooper and Nuble, or Nuble, however you want to call him. What does it mean? Well, somehow, by hook or by crook, I don't know, Aldershot Town are still outside the bottom 4. It's still by a point, but I can tell you that if Wealdstone go to Braintree and win tomorrow night, Aldershot Town will be in the bottom 4. Ebbsfleet, 14 points, pretty much done and dusted. Boston, well, they continue to have some forlorn hope. 23 points, a good win at Fylde tonight. At least, Steve, that keeps Fylde pegged back a bit, who are on 29 points. Wealdstone are on 29 points. Aldershot are on 30. And Aldershot have a game in hand on Fylde, but not on Wealdstone, who play tomorrow night. And then Maidenhead on 33 now, 3 ahead of the Shots. And then come Braintree and Dagenham on 34, Woking on 35. And Tamworth, who remain on 39 despite leading for much of tonight. Lewis Davis says Return of the Strays on Saturday is starting to feel like a family gathering together to say goodbye to an ailing relative. Well, hopefully it's not as bad as that, Lewis, but I do understand the pain of defeat. I'm sure many of the 196 that have now thanked their team and turned on their heels will be going home frustrated, forlorn, worried, concerned, and they won't be the only ones. But we'll get post-match thoughts of the Aldershot Town management team after this game, potentially from a player as well. Look out for that on social media for BBC Surrey Sport, potentially one tonight or in the morning, and then the weekend warm-up on Friday evening may well feature the story of the Return of the Strays as well. And don't forget the BBC Surrey breakfast show at 8:40 on Friday morning with Gina Bullsden and myself talking about that event, the Return of the Strays. Steve, you've always, since I've known you, you've been in Berkshire for a while, you've been in Suffolk for a while, so you know what it's like to be a stray, don't you? I do. And you know just how much of an effort that people are making next week and on Saturday, and hopefully it can inspire the shots. I mean,
my efforts pale into insignificance even when I was across the Severn Bridge in Cardiff, where the closest, where every home game was an away game. But comparing my efforts to coming over from wherever people are coming over from, Europe, America, even further afield. It shows the global reach of this proud little football club, and they do need to show pride again in adversity, and absolutely, hopefully, the return of those far-flung supporters who haven't set foot inside the Ebb Stadium since before it was called the Ebb Stadium, then hopefully they will inspire a proud performance from the current batch of players that wear the shirts. They are just custodians. It's the fans that own those shirts, and you'd hope that whatever 11 are selected and whatever finishers Tommy Widrington brings on Saturday, that they will do their utmost to keep Aldershot Town out of the bottom four and show the sort of pride that everybody here this evening that's made the effort to get round the M25 in adversity, the people that have come thousands and thousands of miles to support their club, the pride that they feel, you'd hope will be replicated on the pitch, because every game between now and the end of the season, but particularly this hugely congested period where it's Saturday, Tuesday every week, where you're playing before up until the 1st of April, you're either playing promotion chasers or you're playing teams that are fighting to stay out of relegation zones. Every game. Not a 6-pointer, because there are lots of logistical reasons why games aren't 6-pointers, but hugely important games in the history of Aldershot Town, not just this season, but in the very history of Aldershot Town. And all you can ask of those players is 100% effort. And I hope that's what they give on Saturday even.
Yeah, thank you very much, Steve, for your 100% effort this evening, not least of just getting here on a Tuesday night. That's very much appreciated. Thank you, listeners, for joining us wherever you are around the country and around the world. Safe journeys to all of those of you that are travelling for the return of the Strays event, or are just travelling to the EBB, because you often do. Don't want to discredit any of those people. Let's get together again on Saturday. We'll do our best, Steve Gibbs and myself, to describe that game and the return of the Strays. Shots against Hartlepool on Saturday. Tonight, though, it's the not very nice taste of defeat for the Shots in Essex. Final scoreline in the National League: Southend United 2, Aldershot Town 1. Have a good rest of the week, listeners. Speak to you at the weekend.